Imagine spending 42 years in prison for a murder you didn't commit, your entire adult life gone, and finally a court admits they got it wrong. Prosecutors hid evidence that proved your innocence. You walk out of those prison doors a free man. But then ICE is waiting to arrest you. This is the story of Subramanyam, Subu for short, Vedam, and what happened to him. And this should terrify every American who believes in justice. Make sure you're subscribed because what we're covering are the stories that expose how broken the system really is. And this one is super upsetting. On October 3rd, Subu walked out of Huntingdon State Correctional Institution in Pennsylvania. He was 64 years old. He'd spent 42 years behind bars for a murder he didn't commit. In 1982, at just 22 years old, Subu was convicted of murdering his friend, 19-year-old Thomas Kinser. Prosecutors claimed Subu shot him with a .25 caliber pistol, a weapon that was never found. Their case was entirely circumstantial, and he received life without parole. For 4 decades, he maintained his innocence, and he had every appeal denied until Pennsylvania Innocence Project took his case in 2022. Here's what they found. Prosecutors had a hidden FBI report and handwritten notes showing that the bullet wound was too small to be caused by a .25 caliber bullet. The entire prosecution theory was a lie, and they knew it. In August 2025, a judge ruled that hiding this evidence violated Subu's constitutional rights. 1 month later, the district attorney dismissed all charges, admitting a retrial would be impossible and unjust. Subu became the longest-serving exoneree in Pennsylvania history. But he never made it home. As he walked out of those prison doors, ICE agents were waiting. They immediately detained him and transferred him to the Mashonaon Valley Processing Center. His family had prepared to welcome him home after fighting for his freedom for decades. Instead, they got a phone call. Subu was in federal custody. ICE is citing a legacy deportation order from the 1980s, tied not just to the vacated murder conviction, but to a drug conviction from when Subu was 19 years old. Before his murder arrest, Subu had pleaded guilty to intent to distribute LSD, a teenage mistake, according to his family. That conviction carried immigration consequences, but he was never deported because he was serving life for murder. Now the murder conviction is gone. Prosecutors admitted that they had hid evidence. A judge vacated it. Charges were dismissed. ICE's response? Revived the deportation order. Here's their statement. Mr. Vedam, a career criminal with a rap sheet dating back to 1980s, is also a convicted, controlled substance trafficker. Mr. Vedam will be held in ICE custody while the agency arranges for his removal. A career criminal? That's what they're calling a man who just proved his innocence after 42 years. Of course, this is Kristi Noem's Department of Homeland Security, the same Department of Homeland Security conducting military raids on American cities, the same DHS that falsely accused a woman who miscarried in their custody of being a murderer, the same DHS that cut $350 million from addiction treatments. Now they're calling an exonerated man a career criminal and preparing to deport him to a country he doesn't know. Subu was born in India, but he came to the United States at 9 months old. He has no memory of India. He's never lived there as a conscious person. His entire family, sisters, nieces, and grandnieces are U.S. citizens here and then also in Canada. His relatives in India have passed away. His niece, Zoe Vedam, said, "None of us remember our lives at 9 months old. To send him to India at 64 alone and away from everyone who loves him would just be an extent of the harm to his life and to the wrongful incarceration." Subu spent 42 years in a prison. He never built a normal life. He never had a career outside of prison. He's never seen a modern film. He's never been on the internet. He doesn't even know modern technology. And ICE wants to send him alone to a country he left as an infant, where he knows nobody at 64 years old. Here's what ICE's statement doesn't mention. During those 42 years, while fighting for freedom, while knowing he was innocent, Subu became a model prisoner. He designed and led literacy programs. He raised funds for big brothers and big sisters. He tutored hundreds of fellow prisoners towards high school diplomas. He became the first person in the 150-year history of the prison to earn a master's degree, a perfect 4.0 GPA, by correspondence. Former inmates talk about how Subu changed their lives, how his teaching... I'll keep going. showbiz. How he helped, how his teachings gave them hope, how he helped them turn their lives around. That's who ICE is calling a career criminal. Subu's legal team filed a motion to reopen his immigration case and requested a stay of deportation. The government has until October 24th to respond. But let's be clear, ICE is using a drug conviction from 44 years ago to deport him. They're citing a murder conviction, which was just vacated for prosecutional misconduct. They're calling an exonerated man a career criminal while ignoring 42 years of proving otherwise. Pennsylvania already admitted that they destroyed Subu's life. They had evidence that could have freed him decades ago, but a judge said his rights were violated. The DA dismissed all charges, and the federal government's response: arrest him, call him a career criminal, deport him. What kind of justice system does this? Prosecutors hid evidence. An innocent man loses 42 years of his life. Courts finally admit we made a mistake and hid some evidence, and instead of compensation or an apology, they have ICE waiting at the prison gates. Subu's niece said after 43 years of having his life taken because of a wrongful conviction to send him to the other side of the world, away from everyone who loves him, would compound that injustice. She's right. Pennsylvania stole 42 years. Now ICE wants to take the rest. Here's what needs to happen. We need to stop the deportation. Subu has lived here since 9 months old. This is his home. His family's here. We need to hold the prosecutors accountable. What they did was a constitutional violation that stole a man's life. Pennsylvania owes Subu compensation for every day they stole, but millions won't give him back 42 years of his life. But it's the minimum. Investigate ICE for this detention. Who decided that calling an exonerated man a career criminal was appropriate? The deadline is October 24th. Between then and now, we need to make this story impossible to ignore. Subu deserves better. This could happen to any of us. He deserves freedom. He deserves his family. He deserves justice. Subscribe and share this story. Subu spent 42 years fighting to prove his innocence. He won. Now he's fighting to come home. He shouldn't have to fight alone. Please share this video, and we'll be back with more.